Hey, this is Marcia Griffiths, and this is IFE Top 10. Before I started music, Marcia Griffiths, was just one humble, skinny little girl, very reserved. I used to just walk in the corner of the sidewalk when I'm going to school, all by myself. And I wasn't a limelight person. So I was really reserved and shy. Was a home girl. I was happiest when I stay at home. Sing, of course, constantly. I used to sing at home, in church, concerts, at school, and my mother was a very, very good cook. She used to make Indian dishes, and we used to just watch her and enjoy it at the end of the whole thing. And when we're not doing that, all three sisters, we just sing and harmonize each other at home. And our father loved that because my father was also a very good singer, not professional, but he had a wonderful voice. So we always sing at nights, we lie down and we sing and gospel songs. Cause we grew up in a Christian home, background, and we always just sing Christian songs. My two other sisters, they are really good singers, but they are very shy. So we just sing at home, indoors, and enjoy every moment. And one more thing, my grandmother was a seamstress, and she used to sew, things for other people. And I can remember even at the age of maybe 8, 9, I would use those fabric and drape it around my skinny body and do different designs from that tender age. And when I eventually came in the business, I used to design my own clothes, because I like things that are very different, unusual. I would not like to be in something that I see other people wearing. So I would create my own designs, my own fashion. So I was very occupied when I was a little girl growing up. Well, I started out when I was 1964. I was going to be 12 in November, my birthday. So I was actually 11 Easter Monday when I went on stage for the very first time. So I never thought about what I'd be doing because I'm a little girl still going to school. My father went with me to Carib Theatre for the very first time that I went on stage. So I never thought of a career. But my father was very against me being in the music. He thought that was so degrading. He was looking for me like being a teacher or a nurse or something else, anything else other than being a singer. But he enjoyed every concert I performed at. And he was happy, when he saw me there. And of course, I was enjoying it. Never had any vision of it being my career eventually, but I was enjoying every moment. Well, the only other female I that was around at the time was Hortense Ellis. I'm not sure about Phyllis Dillon, but she was at Treasure Isle. But there were very few. It was totally male dominated. I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why I didn't want his young daughter to be, you know, a part of that. He saw it as something outrageous. For whatever reason it was, he condemned me being a singer. I was 1964. I was actually singing, as I would say, that I just enjoy singing. And there was a guy living in the same yard where I was in Hannatown. He played the guitar, Utan, and he wrote a song called Wall of Love. And in those days, we had radio fusion and we were influenced strongly by American music. So we just listened to American songs. And whatever is playing on the radio, no matter how many harmonies in the song, I would find one that was never there. So he wrote this song and I started harmonizing the song. And it was really a beautiful song. So that's the time when we were at the gate where we live, singing that song. And Philip James from the Blues Busters, he had a girlfriend living next door. And he was visiting her and he heard the both of us singing the song. And he was drawn to us and said, "Whoa, what a beautiful voice you have." And I did another song for him. And he said, "You know what? I have to get you on Easter Monday morning show." But at that time, I think it was ska. Ska was the era, that era of the ska. And I didn't know what I was going on stage to do. And furthermore, when he said that, I just brushed it off because I knew it was impossible. But he was very serious and he went to Baron Lee and told him that he met this little girl and he wanted her on stage. And Baron said, absolutely no. They didn't want me on the stage. Well, long story short is that he came back to me and said, he's taking me to the rehearsal. We went to the rehearsal and everyone was so reluctant to rehearse me. And me, a little girl, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, they asked me what song I was doing, and I said, No Time to Lose. And that was a very popular song in Jamaica by Carter Thomas, and everyone knew the song and loved the song. So I managed to get the one song done. The morning now in question with this show, I was called on stage, and I stood there like from a come inside there, waiting to hear that song is a guitar start the song. And Ken Lazarus was the guitarist. And I am standing there on stage with the microphone, waiting to hear the introduction so I can come in and start the song. And it was a whole lot of fumbling going on in the back. And me, innocent, I just turn around and looking at them, as if to say, what's going on? And the audience, of course, getting uncomfortable. And even at that tender age, God was there. And I hear a voice say, must be the voice of God say, little girl, you better start singing. Because I don't know what would happen with what going on there. And the guys, them laughing. So I know this is a definite sabotage. Because they were fighting against me coming to perform. So when I hear the voice, a little girl, you better start singing, I just start to sing, And they better follow me. And if you drop a pin in Carib Theatre that morning, you could hear it. Because in those days when you try to emulate a singer, a female singer, for me, I would just want to cross every T and dot every I. So if you close your eyes, you would think that it's Carla Thomas singing. Or if I'm doing an Aretha or a Patti LaBelle, whatever song, you try to emulate the singer as much as possible. So I was singing the melody and I was harmonizing at the same time. So they have never heard anything like that. And I did every slur exactly because this is a song I love. And every time I make a slur or I do something, the audience just went up in. And I was so happy. Philip James, of course, he was overwhelmed because he won. And Byron, it's like he had to bow because he proved that this little girl really went over well. Immediately, Ronnie Nasrallah was the manager for Byron Lee and they wanted to manage me right away. And of course, Philip was so happy for the outcome of it. And the same day, I was taken to Studio One. And I met Mr. Dodd, never did an audition. I went straight in the studio and recorded the same song that the guy Uton wrote, Wall of Love. He was supposed to go in and sing with me, but he was warning me not to go in there and get nervous. But he's the one who went in and got nervous. So I ended up doing the song all by myself, and he was all threatening me because we were wasting a lot of time, and he was trembling. And Jackie me too said, "Little girl, you know the song?" And I said, "Yes," and I just sang it, and the musicians played it. That song is still sitting on tape, I guess, in at Brentford Road. It was never released. Wall of Love. And of course, the rest is history. I just did a whole string of songs at the Studio One. Well, of course, yes. Carib Theatre was like a Apollo. Studio One is Jamaica's Motown. So once you enter into Studio One or you pass through Carib Theatre, you graduate. Wow, there's no comparison. The only struggle is my time. That was the struggle because it's a male dominated business. Then, thank God, he placed me there, gave me this talent that I could have inspired all these other women who are in the business today, and they all learn from my mistakes. I share my experience with every single one. Every young artist that come in the business as a woman, I give them, advice, and so that they don't fall in the holes that I fell in on my journey. Because it was really not nice. I was left in Clarendon. This is a story I've said repeatedly, by musicians because they could not have their way with me as a young little girl. I don't think I was a teenager yet. And my father allowed me to go to perform in Clarendon. And Bob Andy was there, and they were very, very displeased that he was everywhere that I am going, and they couldn't have their way. And they left me and Bob Andy under a big tree in Clarendon and said they're only responsible for singer, not singer and boyfriend. These are the kind of things that I have gone through as a woman in this male dominated business. But thank God the business is no more male dominated. I think it's like a 50-50 thing now. And I can honestly say that I think I made some contribution to that because it's such a wonderful feeling when you can hear the young singers saying that I have been their inspiration and their role model. So it shows me that at least I was doing something that was right. And these are women who can stand on their own own 2 feet. People like a Queen Ifrica, a Tanya Stevens, Etana. There are so many young. Sugar is another favorite of mine. We have Tessan, we have Aline, we have Nadine, just to name a few. And the business is flooded with talent, young talent, and I love it. Look at Little Coffee. The business is spicy. We have spice, we have coffee, we have everything, every season, every good ingredients there is there. Before 74, I had a hit song in England with Bob Andy, Young, Gifted and Black, 1970. So when we came together in 74, I was doing some performances at the House of Chen in New Kingston. And for some unknown reason, all three of us met unknown to each other at Studio One to do some harmonies on a song. And that, I don't know if I could call that a coincidence. I think it was ordained by the Almighty God. Because how we managed to meet there, all three of us, not knowing. I mean, Rita and myself went together, and we didn't know we were going to meet Sister Judy, but we didn't know her then. So I asked them if they would come and do some harmonies for me for the weekend. And they said, of course, they were happy about it. And We went, it's a whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On the last night, we decided that we would do a little jam session on stage. And Sweet Inspirations were popular in Jamaica. So that's the songs we jam on stage. And the audience loved it. And everybody said, why you girls don't form a group? And we said, why not? So we decided that we would form a group. And I said, let's call ourselves I3. And Sister Rita said, I3. I said, yes, it's like saying we three, but instead of saying we three, we say I3. So Brother Bunny was present another time and he endorsed that name. And guess what? We did one show as a group and Bob heard that we formed a group. And at the same time, Bob and his original Wailers, Peter and Bunny, they were having some dispute, some differences. I wasn't so sure what it was all about. But Bob invited us in the studio to do Natty Dread. And we went in and we did Natty Dread with Bob, #1. And then we went back in the studio with Bob and we did, after His Majesty's passing, and we go in and do Jaliv. And we ended up doing the Natty Dread album. That was the first album we did with Bob. Prior to that, Rita and myself did Rocket Baby with Bob before we met Sister Judy. And after we did the Natty Dread album, wow, the rest is history. We started touring with Bob, doing other albums, other single. You know, we became his three little birds. I3, as three sisters, Sister Judy, Sister Rita, and myself, we were three individuals who came together in a oneness that is ordained by God. No mistake. Because we embrace each other. We are three strong sisters. And we balance each other. You know, because we would talk about our personal experience and our life, and we got comfort from each other. We got strength. We got the answer for everything, and we would even support this. This became like a strong support for Bob and the rest of the musicians, because I saw myself in the group as the person I used to be called like the seer. I would have visions of things and say it, you know, and even at the shooting with Bob. And on tour, if the Neville Garrick would get up and he said, "What you dream last night?" And I would say how I feel about certain things that was happening and all that. But we did serve a purpose. We were placed there by God. You know, because it, as I said, it was a balance. For example, sometimes Bob wants to rest after a show and his room is full of ladies. And even some of the brothers too. And Rita was like a mother hen. She would go in there and just put everyone outside. You know, and we were there as the eyes. We were always there for the strength to make sure that he's okay. And between us as three strong women, we were holding the fort, very strong and powerful. Well, I was known to be someone who, I loved fashion. I loved, as I said to you earlier, I used to drape things around me and do designs. So I was known for that. But because of what Bob stood for, they most of the time want to cover up and, you know, you have to have your head wrap and all that. But of course, we can do that and it's still stylish and elegant and looking royal and everything. So I was for that, because sometimes maybe Judy comes up with some idea and, you know, I don't like it because I want to be more fashionable, simple but elegant. and vice versa. We share each other's opinion and advice, and we would try to maintain that look, to be elegant and royal in our nice dresses and head wraps, different style. And Bob loved it because he was encouraging me to open some fashion, something that we could share between the sisters. But of course, I was, always busy recording, traveling up and down and all that. But we made a statement. I usually say that anyone who never knew Bob, well, this generation is different. But then I usually say anyone who never knew Bob, they missed out on so much in life. To have known that man was something else. He was truly sent by the Almighty to do the work he did. And who knows, maybe, his work must have been finished for God to have taken him home back. Because he's the one who opened my eyes to what this music was. Because I used to just sing and love it and have fun and enjoy it. And so what? I love to sing and that's it. It was not until I started working with Bob and I saw how serious this man took his music. I've never seen anything like that. His music was his life. Nothing came before his music. That was it. No food, nothing, no money, just his music. And then I started looking into this thing much deeper and said, but this is a serious business and this is much deeper than entertainment. This is like a responsibility you have on your shoulder to mankind. And that's when I started realizing what the whole thing is about and figure it out for myself and know that to be in this business of music, you are blessed because you are given the opportunity to communicate to the world through the medium of this music. You can send messages to the four corners of the earth through music. And once you can communicate to the world musically, because we cannot live without music and food, then we are powerhouse. We are blessed because we have it in our hands to decide where this world can go. We can unite. We can bring together. We can break barriers. The music is one of the most powerful weapons that we have today on this earth. Music released Nelson Mandela from prison when everyone started singing, and the word, the sound, and the power that went towards the release of Nelson. There was no choice. So the music is powerful. That's why I usually pray and I ask God to open the eyes of all our singers and DJs because the Bible calls upon, God calls upon the singers and players of instrument. I would like them to be aware of their position, to know that they are powerful and they can make positive contribution to mankind and to the world, especially this generation who needs a lot of guidance. The music is all we have in our hands. We see where from the baby is born and you play any music and the hearing is good, the baby start to move to the beat. And from the child get to the age of 2 and start speaking or 3, they can sing a song from the beginning to the end. So why not send a good message to teach, to educate, to uplift, to everything that's positive we can do through the music. We have the power in our hands to do that. And I think that is what Bob Marley, one of the persons I know, and there are many other artists, Dennis Brown. These are artists that send good, positive message. Freddie McGregor, Barry Salmon, Barrington Levy, you know, all of these singers, Jimmy Cliff, they send positive message to the world to unite the world. So that's what I am beseeching to everyone to do. Let's come together and realize who we are and how blessed we are to be in the position that we can communicate through the medium of music, that people can hear us in Jericho, no matter what part of the earth. We should just continue to feed souls with positiveness and teach and educate. This song was originally released in 1983, written by Bunny Wailer, that I just left not too long ago, sung by me, and the song came out first time originally in 1983, went to the #1 spot. It was never a redo song because I don't know where they get all these information. And more interestingly, I can tell you quickly, we went to Canada. I3 went to Canada to do a performance as a group. And of course, they believe that women are just seen for their favors and they can give us hard luck story. 9 out of 10 times we are not paid and we get some hard luck story which they could never give to none of these DJs or any other man's artists. And we were left with just $700 each. Canadian, of course. That's the pay we got. And I took my $700 and next day I was just walking downtown in Toronto and I walked in a shop and I saw this rhythm box, like the size of a keyboard. And I started fiddling around with this thing and I loved it. It had every sound and every beat. Cha-cha, samba, bossa nova, everything, and Hawaiian piano repeater sound lovely. I just take my $700, I don't remember how much I paid for it, and I bought the box. Took it to Jamaica. I was just overwhelmed with this rhythm box. And Bonnie and I go way back from kindergarten, so he always visit me and bring nice fruits from his farm in Portland. And when he came the night, I said, Brother Bonnie, look on this box. And I showed him one particular sound that I fell in love with on the box, called the repeater sound, the piano. And he loved it. So we found a beat to fit that repeater sound. Poof, paf, poof, paf, and the piano doing the repeater sound. And he recorded that on a cassette and took it to Portland when he was leaving the night and came back the following day with that song. And that little rhythm box you see there, on that song Electric Boogie, it has like about 10 different keyboard parts on it, believe me. And it's all from that rhythm box. All those piano that you hear, whether it's a Hawaiian or just a regular raw piano sound, it's from the rhythm box. And he came back with that song the next day. We went in the studio. It was so spontaneous. We never sit on it. Calling Sly and Robbie, and they overdub on the rhythm box beat. And we recorded everything full. And I learned the song. It was a simple song. Voice the song. And Brother Bunny overdubbed so many things on that song. And the song was released. By Christmas, the song went straight to #1. Chris Blackwell heard the song wherever he was and he knew that that was a #1 song. And he came to Jamaica and he wanted the song. But we already started an album, Bonnie and myself. And Chris wanted the entire album, but for some reason it was not given to him and he took the single. And maybe about a year after, he said to me, Chris Blackwell, I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, Marcia, you know what is really doing good and I'm not even promoting it because big companies don't promote singles. They have to get albums. And he said, you know what's doing good? I said, what? He said, Electric Boogie. It's really doing good and I'm doing nothing. I'm not promoting it. and it was always there, doing good on its own strength. Until 1989, while I was on Sunsplash US tour, I was on the West Coast, and Dr. Dredd called me and said, Marcia, you're gonna be so big, like, and he used some language that I can't repeat. And he said, this electric boogie, they put a dance to it here in Washington, D.C., and it's the biggest thing at the summer. By the time the tour reached to Washington, D.C., I was forced to learn the dance and perform the song on stage. Otherwise, I wouldn't be happening. And well, of course, I know the song already, but I had to learn the dance. And it was not a part of my program that I was performing. So I did the song, and wow, everyone in the place was doing this electric slide. And I said, my goodness. I started making calls to Bunny, because I have to find Bunny to tell him how big this song is. Because this is a version that Bunny and I do. The part that he does, the DJ say, dig Miss Kelly with electric begging. So that's the version that is big, and they're doing the dance too. Cannot find Bunny nowhere. And tour finish, and I'm calling everywhere, because they say we have to do a video quickly with this song. Anyway, long story short is that I eventually came to Jamaica, gave up, and everybody said, no man, this is a big opportunity, you can't make that song go like that, you have to do. And then Chris Blackwell, we called him, and Chris called the company and heard that this song is selling like wild. So he was even annoyed with everybody in there, said, how nobody told me this and all that. And he said, Marcia, let's go in the studio and do a remix. And that's when we called in the Miami Sound Machine. It was Gloria Estefan's group. And we went in and did a remix. And we couldn't find anybody to do that part that Bunny rap on. And I just did a fast rap on it. They said, dig it, Mr. Kelly, with the bubbling electric belly, she's a moving. And that's how that whole remix came about. And when I came to Jamaica, driving along the road, I saw Brother Bunny car on one of those roads in Media House. And this was the first time I'm seeing Bunny after trying to find him for months. And I went in to give him the news, the good news about the song, how big it is. No, when I eventually found Brother Bunny, he already went in the studio, heard about the song, big, and went and recorded his own version and was inside there doing his video with 2 dancers. So that is the story of that song. That's the only other version that's there, the one that Bunny did afterward. But he's the writer for that song, and I'm the original singer, and you heard where it all came from. We went to Washington here, and we found them. One of these old-time groups that used to do some dance, like, because this dance has outlived the Madison, the Bus Stop, the Macarena, the Cha-Cha, the Bossa Nova, name it. It has outlived every single one. It's the longest living song and dance so far. I started out as a solo singer at Studio One. I was never in a group until I3 came about, and I never relinquished my solo career because I find it easier to, when you go out there, you know exactly what you're doing. You don't have to depend on anyone. And it's much easier for me to express myself and know what it is that I want to deliver to my audience. Not that I don't enjoy the group, but it's easier for me as a solo singer. Well, all of these new technologies can only enhance what we are doing, what we have done, and what we are still doing. All these new technologies, it's advanced, and of course, we know that this generation gravitates to all of these technologies and everything, the mechanical things that we have here now. So we have to try and utilize all of these modern stuff to enhance what we still have and what we are still doing. So it's just more power. We can't stop. None of them can stop the times, So that's how it is. We have to just roll with it, make the best of it. For me, reggae dancehall is the same music I did at Studio One, because those music from the decade of the 60s in that era is still played today in the dance hall. As a matter of fact, a lot of the sound systems they require only foundation songs, wind, sound clash, and those songs are still played. Even in Europe, there's a song there called Foundation. And most of the different songs, I just came back from Europe, I was back and forth from May on tour, and it's only Foundation songs. Because Foundation songs can last forever, live forever. All the good ingredients went into those music from way back when. They will forever be golden oldies compared to these songs that are short-lived and disposable. There's no substance in most of the songs now today, even if they are hardcore dancehall, because the songs I did in Studio One, they are classified as dancehall, but there are different songs, hardcore dancehall songs that DJs does. This is the reason why when I was at Penthouse in the decade of the 90s, I said to Jermaine, I don't know if you remember when Bob passed, there was this great big vacuum in the music industry. For a long while, a lull. It's like we don't know which direction the music is going now, because the king is gone, his music is here, but it was a vacuum. And out of nowhere came this hardcore dancehall thing that rise up, and most of the lyrics was like disrespecting women, and it was not nice. But the music was more hardcore than the Studio One dancehall. And I remember I said to Jeremy, I said, Jeremy, if we make the same music and put our sweet melody and nice lyrics on that, on these hardcore dancehall, it must hit. And that's exactly what we did at Penthouse. Because I remember having that stretch in the 90s at Penthouse with Fire Burning, I Shall Sing, Nanny Goat, Barry Salmon and myself, Bojo, Cutty Ranks, Tony Rebel. That was the whole decade of the 90s. And that was dancehall songs. Live On with me and Barry and everything was just as I predicted it. And it is they still get even more harder with some real dancehall, real dancehall thing. But guess what? They're short-lived. I love dancehall music. I love it. But as long as it has, I am an old school woman. And Barry says that old school is a good school, and some of us, if we're not blessed, we never know the good school. Well, I am from the good school, so I still maintain that I think if it's even hardcore, no matter how hardcore, we should still have the message there. And the difference I see between it and the roots rock reggae is that the roots rock reggae is a more cultural, more message. Bob Marley songs and Freddie and Barry's and Dennis, and these are nice roots rock reggae that will live forever. it will live, it will last forever. I saw this interview with Lionel Richie on CNN, and he was saying the exact thing that I have been saying. The new school music is the same old school they have to go back to and take from it to do the new school. Because that's the music with the substance and the good ingredients that gives it that longevity. So I will just hold on to my good school. Well, that is $1 million question because there are so many good music coming out of Jamaica. And what I see happening is a lot of the American artists are picking, I wouldn't say stealing, they see the goodness, they see the good substance that our music carries, and they know it has potential. So a lot of the American, Rihanna, Stevie Wonder, Jay-Z, Beyonce, all of these artists, they do reggae music. But yet still, as you just asked, why a lot of our artists not on major labels? But they accept the songs when all of these American artists does them. And no matter how many collabs our artists do with them, they still need to be accepted on major labels. I think I have said it all just now because my main thing, no matter who you are, and once you are blessed to be in this wonderful business of music, it's only one thing we can think about: mankind. I used to pray. I wanted to be of service to mankind. And I thought to myself, so well, it's only like to serve people would be like to be a nurse or a doctor or whatever. But God never make any mistake. Being in the business of music proves to me that this is God's business. And I am in the position to reach everyone and to touch souls, which no doctor in the universe can do. And this is why what I would beseech to all my sisters in the business: we are mothers of creation. We have it. And I would like us all to come together and send positive message. We bear children and we want to send the right message to everyone. We give birth to male and female. So we want to send the greatest thing we can do is to be blessed to be a part of the music that we can send messages to the world, to touch souls, and to uplift our brothers and sisters, because at the end of the day, I just want to see one world with one love, one people. That's what I would like to see. And I will just continue to thrive for this cause because this is what I really want to see. I want to see us living as one people through the power of love and through the medium of music. It is possible only if we come together. United we stand, divided we fall. But we just keep dividing and we're not coming together. So I am calling on the sisters. We are mothers of creation and I know we can do it. So that's what I would love to see: the women coming together, strong like how Queen Africa will stand up and talk and defend the rights. I want to see us all defending this thing because at the end of the day, we know say it's going to be so beautiful. And that is what God wants us all to be as one people. We are all brothers and sisters. God is our Father. So we are brothers. We are one family. And we can only do it through the music. Timeless. This is a tribute to Studio One. And of course, because I know what Studio One is. It's like I said, it's where we all graduate. It's the fountain of gold. There is all the legends and the icons. They all come out of Studio One. And when I think about the amount of music in Studio One, I said, my God, this could never go to waste. And I just dip in the pot, take a little out and say, boy, I would love, this is something that I want to accomplish for a long time. And there's so much left. I just wanted to do a couple of tracks from Studio One. And even way back then, people like Abyssinians, who is one of the songs I cover, these are guys that were conscious and aware of what's happening in our everyday life. They are the voice of the people like our Bob Marley and the Wailers. And they were singing conscious lyrics from way back when and feeling the pain, the struggle, and talking out for people. Because sometimes we hear some songs and we wonder if it's we, the songwriter, write it for. Because we are living the same life, the cap fit us all. So we are one people, we have the same experience, but sometimes the singer expresses our life. And these are brothers from way back in Studio One, going through the struggle same way. So I just choose a couple of songs. And the beautiful thing is that every song that I have on this Timeless CD, I know I'm familiar with all the artists that have covered their songs. And I knew what the struggle was. And I know them personally. So I'm happy that I could have accomplished this. And I really love, this is an opportunity for even this generation, the young people, to see where the music, the foundation of the music, where it's coming from. Because anything that can stand so long has to be on a solid foundation. And that's the foundation. That's where the music is coming from. So I might end up doing part 2 as well. What's next? I have a tour coming up 20th of October in the US on the West Coast and the East Coast. I just completed like about 4 months back and forth in Europe and England promoting my Timeless CD as well. And it was lovely. Very, very nice. I was pleasantly surprised in a couple of places that I have gone to. When I started doing the tracks from the new CD, they had to wheel it. And of course, these are songs that some of these people know from way back when. So hearing it back, and one of the songs that was really accepted was What Kind of World? That song has been done classically by Freddie McGregor, my favorite version of that song. But it's just a rhythm that they use with a different song. Morgan's Heritage is in it, Barrington Levy, just to name a few. And to say that we see that most of these Studio One rhythms and song, even in today's world with all these young artists, they all go back to Studio One rhythm to make big hit songs. Most of the hit songs that our artists, big artists has, they are all Studio One rhythms.
Hope you liked our video. If so, subscribe. Don't forget the bell for notifications and give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you're thinking by writing a comment or visit IFETOP10.com for more entertainment news. Thanks for watching.